giant tinfoil cowboy hat.
Beautiful. I don't want to be underdressed for the occasion.
Giant tinfoil. All right, let me say hello in live chat. Hello. Remember to ask questions. All right. Welcome, everyone, to another episode of SEO Fight Club. Let me also check my participants and local chat. And I'll pop out the live chat. Oops, that's not what I wanted. And let's see, where is it? There it is, pop out chat. Okay. So now I can minimize that. All right. So, do we have Clint here? We don't have Clint here. So something to keep in mind. Hopefully Clint will join us later. Sometimes he gets busy with customers. So first, let's ask Carolyn. Carolyn, what's going on with indexing?
Well, I'm going to say slower. Like everything that normally would update every 3 days is now updating every 4. I'm seeing slowdown in desktop bots, and causes me a little weird feeling. But yeah, I'm just going to say it's happening, but it is a lot slower than even its normal slow.
Interesting.
And of course, that's only new content, right? I'm not talking about recrawling existing.
Yeah. So normally those two things have their own pipelines, and one can be off while the other is normal, or one could be slower while the other isn't metered. And there's more pipelines than that too, because the sitemaps and Search Console is a different path, and then the indexing API appears to be an even different path. And so do you think that these behaviors, they all hit like the indexing API, or do you think this is like the systematic Google Search Console request indexing type of thing?
When I look, because I'm starting to keep track of what is the date in Search Console when it says that page is indexed, and the API always shows it as indexed on the day it was submitted. So it definitely, the indexing API is the faster way to get indexed, but then that space between that stage and getting served is what varies with the indexing API. And then the Search Console definitely is like, when I tracked it, if you just submit your sitemap, it could take 2 months before they come back and crawl that page.
Yep.
If you resubmit it, I'm sorry, if you request indexation through it, it basically lands somewhere in the list of the reason why your page didn't get indexed is Google systems, which is like the oops, we didn't get that. And so that just reinforces the fact that portion of the Search Console to get into the indexing side is broken.
Yeah, and what Carolyn is referring to there is when you go into Google Search Console and you look at the reasons for why things aren't indexed, one of the labeled reasons is Google systems, which is an indication that it probably wasn't anything your fault. It's just Google had a problem and didn't do it. And the thing is, you think that Google would, once they get their stuff together, they'd go back and correct those, but they don't. They actually just move forward, and they'll just leave them in that state forever. So if you don't notice and resubmit, you could be stuck in that state for months. Is that correct?
That is correct.
So be aware that when Google systems is the issue, you have to be more proactive on your part to get it fixed, because Google will not do it. All right. So Lee, I sent you some screenshots of some weird stuff I saw in search, and it looked like a new capability. And these new capabilities, the more I dug into it, the more it looked like Google was running NLP on every page.
Mm-hmm.
And, or at least on every page that, meets a threshold and has a certain classification of page type. So, not 400 trillion pages, but, this neighborhood of pages or that neighborhood of pages. And it's interesting because when I looked at it, I was expecting to see things coming out of complex schema, and it wasn't. Everything that I was seeing in the search results, I was finding in the source is a part of content. So actual things drawn on the page without special markup. And so I thought it was really interesting. And so I was looking at it going, well, this is an increase in NLP analysis of content on Google's part. And normally we say Google isn't reading your page because there's lots of evidence and lots of ways that we know Google isn't reading the page. Well, this is evidence to the contrary to that claim. And so we know that Google's been doing NLP answers for questions. And, that was a BERT capability, and it's supposed to improve with MUM. And we saw that move from more than just the featured snippet. It started hitting top results in search as well. And so we've known about that for a while. And that's not what we're talking about. But that was the first indication that Google was getting their feet wet, processing NLP and showing you the output of that processing. And then we've known about schema things where you put special markup and you get special presentations of what's in that markup. And in general, when I went on this hunt, I wasn't interested in these two things. These weren't the target. I'm looking for something more special. So I found stuff like this where it says list includes. And so here it's saying the benefits for pregnant people. And so it has this heading and it's a numbered heading, by the way, which I thought was interesting. Benefits for pregnant people, followed by a paragraph of text. And so these other items have the same thing. There we go. And so, it's clearly coming off of the page. There's no schema on these pages for these things. So Google is recognizing it as relevant and helpful to the point that it's itemizing them on the search results summary. And so after seeing a lot of this in a lot of different places with increased frequency, this is the type of thing that would take months to do. So when Google says, oh, this update is going to take months to impact you, well, doing this kind of NLP on every page of this kind of page, that would take Google months to do. And so, I started thinking that, maybe helpful content is related to finding the helpful tidbits on a page and presenting them in search. What do you think of that theory?
It's an interesting one. The stuff that you sent me yesterday, it's just a couple of data points, and so when you have that, it can be interpreted a lot of different ways. Seeing this particular piece here, I'm wondering if it's sort of a continuation of what we saw with your ability to have Google direct Google to write your meta description, where they were pulling the bulleted lists off a page, if they were used in headers, because that's what I'm seeing here is like the list includes benefits for pregnant people. That's part of a list of it looks like a list of H3s probably on this page. Is
Yeah.
that correct?
Yeah. For this one, the ones I sent you yesterday came from sentences, and
Right.
that one was clearly like, mid-sentence, they figured out a point. And yeah, we'll see multiple of these because there's more than one type.
Right.
So the ones I sent you yesterday were of the pros and cons type, and
Right.
this one is the list includes type. And so these are like typed things, which is interesting.
Yeah, I mean, when you're looking at like best, like 7 best zinc supplements, best might be a trigger word, for what, so looking best, for situational, which would be, sort of trigger the pros and cons, or in this particular case, best for, certain health conditions. So, it's interesting that they're trying to answer some things that might not even be phrased as a question per se, like 7 best, what are the best zinc supplements.
Yeah, and it's one of those things where if we're seeing Google parse it, and if we're seeing them parse like from a list of many possibilities, and these are the scored best 3, that's measurement capability. And so I'm seeing these and I'm thinking, wow, new class of keyword tools.
Yes.
What are the NLP benefit types? What's the diversity of NLP benefit types? And do we ever see like duplicate benefits on different pages, or is Google looking for uniques? And do you need to have good diversity and uniqueness in your itemized benefits? Because when we're thinking about helpful content, if Google sees you listing the exact same benefits in your content that other people list in their content, even though the words and the syntax are different, you're basically conveying the same information. And so maybe they're taking the syntax out of what you're communicating and saying, well, are your best benefits the same as their best benefits? And if so, then maybe I view you as a duplicate. Your words might be unique, but your benefits are the same.
Yeah, Carolyn asked a question. Carolyn, jump on and ask that, because it's an intriguing thing that you've brought up.
No, just a lot of when all this helpful content was getting flowed out, a lot of affiliates were responding with, what the hey, like their pages were getting dropped off, because most of the time the affiliate model is best this thing, best that thing, and so maybe that might be why this is showing up this way, like you say, the best.
Yeah, and it kind of explains the masses of who was hit and potentially why they might have been hit. So if you're still trying to recover from that, maybe this is something you can look at, especially like if you took other content and just spun it, because then you'd have duplicate benefits, right? Even though you changed the words around it and the order of the words, you'd still have the same key benefits that you're touting. And if Google can itemize the top benefits and score them for, most important to least important with some sort of system, and then your list is the same as everybody else's list, and that could be a thing. And this is a demonstration of a capability to parse that and to itemize it. So we like to look for things that we know are being measured. And I think this is a strong indication that Google can measure it. So this is a tell.
Normally with best zinc supplements, I would expect to see the list being, brand one, brand two, brand three
Yeah.
sort of list, as
And
opposed to
and that's what the page is, but that's not what got pulled.
right.
You're dead on. It's like it was looking for something else. It was looking for the helpful piece.
But is this as simple as, because these were a numbered list, that the numbered list overrode the other piece, much like it did with the meta descriptions that we were looking earlier?
Well, the numbered list capability that we spoke about on past episodes, it still exists, but it appears in the summary text. So it would be up here is a bulleted list of the numbered points when it occurs. And so, yeah, when you look for list style content, you can still see that for many keywords, but it's a different capability.
Right.
This one is schema. So this one wasn't NLP, but my jaw kind of dropped because I didn't imagine that this schema would work this way. So here you have a website with a claim and claim by, and it's fact checked and it's labeled false. And I saw the fact check and I went, oh, that's interesting. I guess Google has some partnerships for fact checking information, and occasionally that hits. But being diligent, I went and looked, and no, it's just schema. This page made its own fact check and used itself as the fact check source. And it really struck me as, holy cow, I can't believe this works, because it really gave the feeling that Google flagged it and Google said the truthy outcome. And so you could manipulate the hell out of this.
Yeah, this is very bad.
So yeah,
all the facts are, the facts exist in whatever schema I write.
yeah, and I can make it in such a way that you think that Google is telling you what the truth is. I mean, you can leverage this as Google's opinion, because why else? It's just like the COVID, information warnings. We're coming straight out of that. And here we have, a fact check thing that for all practical purposes, it looks like a COVID information warning from, the massive .com property. And so, yeah, I can't help but think that, you can wreak all kinds of havoc. So you could make up any opinions you want, People say that product A is better than product B. This was fact checked and is false.
Right.
My ClickBank product will make you lots of money. This was fact check and is absolutely true.
Yes.
You can do craziness with this. And so, yeah, I couldn't believe that it worked this way, that it's just schema you put on page. It's a type of rating. So you just you make it a claim type rating, and it just has its own format, and that's all it is. And so I don't imagine this will last long, but this is kind of crazy. All right, so back here's a misfire. I think this is a misfire of their detection system. So the key thing here is this little tiny colon in between. Because what we have is a type label of some sort and a value field, and they're delimited by a colon. And so I found the type label here, and after it, it'll wrap around, and it has the high copper intake from food, yada, yada, yada. So, and this only appears once on the page, and it's in this Java that gets rendered. So this is the Java script that gets rendered and drawn on the page, and I believe Google pulls this then off of the page and into these fields. But it was really interesting to me that their system picked up a label and a value and presented it like this. And I don't think that was the intent, because I don't even understand this label. So I thought it was an interesting misfire. And you'd expect to see that in an NLP system. There would occasionally be misfires. And so if it was purely schema driven, you probably wouldn't see a high rate of mistakes. And I think there's about somewhere between a 1% and 5% failure rate on some of these.
Interesting.
So here's another one. This one picked up several, so it's was looking for labels. So this is what the previous one was trying to do but didn't. So how to use, related. And so there's this supplemental content in the sidebar, how to use, and benefits. And what's interesting is there is a misfire. So it's benefits, heart and vessels, and then here's skin and comma H. And here's what happened. It took it all, it eliminated the HTML, but it didn't know that it was missing a delimiter between these divs.
Mm-hmm.
And so it just conjoined them without white space even. And so it literally lifted this portion and converted it to text. And it misfired without that space right there.
Now, these things on the page, are these in schema, or are they just pulling content off the page?
Just off the page. Well, these are JavaScript widgets that then draw this content in these little widget things. So it's JavaScript on the page, not schema. It's rendering these widgets from the JavaScript.
But it's still structured. Which is
and what I think is happening is Google is just rendering the page, and then it discovers the rendered content and it tries to work with it. So it's not working with the JavaScript, it's working with the output of the JavaScript. So you could have done this in just pure HTML and gotten the same thing.
Right, but I'm wondering, because of some of the things we've seen in the past, this in essence is a table or two tables. Are they treating tables because the table is a form of structured data? Are they utilizing that as a high relevance zone?
Yeah, and notice the helpful labels.
Mm-hmm.
So this one had benefits. This one had how to use.
Yeah.
So that's, the more I saw of this, the more it's like, well, if there was a helpful content, these are kind of the helpful, points of the page. And they're definitely NLP driven, and it would be really slow. I would tell the world that it's going to take months for this to affect your site. This would impact a lot of review and affiliate based stuff pretty heavy, especially if they were filtering based on uniqueness or diversity of these points. So yeah, that's an interesting theory I have cooking. So can't prove it, but it's, tinfoil hat is on, but geez, does it look like a culprit?
Yeah.
And then I wanted to show more examples. So here's as a supplement, here's deficiency. Here's the pros and cons. So that's the type I sent you yesterday that kicked off this whole thing. And these came from sentences. So it's like mid-sentence, it's pulling this stuff out. So yeah, it's interesting. Here's some more. So here's another list includes, and the reason, let's see, what's the reason I did this one? Oh no, this was just a repeat of the type. So this was a list includes one. And what I thought was interesting about this one was it was based on questions. So it looks like there's a methodology for leveraging questions to get this treatment. And so I thought that might be a shortcut to triggering it. So if you're going to test with this, there may be a way to do it, to force it with questions.
So what was the original search term that you were using to trigger sort of these collagen supplements? Was it just collagen supplements or?
Yeah, just anything generic. You can do it with vitamin supplements and vitamin benefits and
Oh, okay, that one's that. I'm just kind of scanning down through a couple of these to see, because this is interesting. And were you finding them pretty much on page one, or did they go down below? Are they being helpful?
In some keywords, I saw them all over the top 100, like in high frequency rates. So in some keywords, like it triggers hard, like Google's sorting on them.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, if you see a lot of this in your space, then it might be an indication that there's ranking score associated with it.
Interesting.
And so yeah, now I want modified result parsing, because this is a new type of variation, right? These are NLP variations. Yeah. So now I want the list. What are the universal list of these for my keyword? And do they correlate, or does the presence of them correlate, or does the number of them that are showing correlate? And so, new SEO factors, everyone.
It's almost like like the bold synonyms it's just a different form of that.
Yeah, it's interesting. Because I know I want to measure it, and I know I want to correlate it, and I think there's probably things to discover with this capability. And I want to capture the type, I want to capture the entries. Yeah, so but the problem is everything out there isn't built to capture this, so I'm gonna have to go back and look at all of that.
Well, it just started. That's the thing.
Yeah, and it could change frequently, the way they present it. And Google has a habit of making features like this, running it for 3 months and then killing them. And so it's a big investment to kind of chase them if they don't last.
Right.
So I wanted to look at ecom as well, and these do occur in ecom queries, which
Carolyn asked a question. So do you think this behaves like the featured snippet, people getting information they want without clicking the document?
Yeah, to a certain extent, but I think it's kind of reasons why you want to click. So this Bob Vila, we know somebody who's targeting Bob Vila.
Yep.
This one here, they have a list of gift baskets, and they're showing the categories they offer: traditional, wine and cheese, gourmet, and more. And so this is kind of a reason to click. So I wouldn't be offended by it. As a retailer with a category of goods, if there are subcategories within my category and they get listed this way, I kind of like that. That's CRO, in my opinion. That's CRO on your behalf from Google in a retail context. Now, up here, they get more complicated. So it's, instead of itemizing subcategories like this did, it looks like it's itemizing specific products. And I thought that was an interesting distinction because it has this 5-pack of t-shirts, it has this beefy grilling gift thing, it has a liquor gift basket. So these look like individual products, these look like categories, subcategories. And so I thought that was really interesting that it works on both contexts. So if you can figure out how to trigger this, you can do it for subcategories if that's most applicable, or you could potentially do it for products in the category. And my guess, I didn't check, I should have gone and checked, but my guess is these are probably the top products in the category, which would normally, in a default sort order, would be the best sellers of the category.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, this has impact and applicability for online retail too, whether you're selling supplements or, gift baskets of t-shirts. And so that would affect a lot of pages out there. That's a very big update.
Yeah, processing that's not cheap either.
So yeah, that's I can't prove it, but I'm starting to lean towards, something about these capabilities might have been what helpful content update was about. And it kind of lines up with who I saw taking the biggest hits and complaining the most about it. It lines up with how long Google said it would take to impact websites.
Mhm.
And it kind of reflects its name. So it's looking for the helpful information on the page. Now, the question we don't know is, does it impact ranking at all, or is it purely a CRO content play? Because it could be, oh, here's helpful information. Maybe this helps you win the click. So we CRO on your behalf to make search more useful. But it has no bearing on rankings. Could totally be the case. I don't know, because we'd have to build new parsers to collect the data, and we'd have to run the correlation math to see if there's any smoke. And none of that has happened. Nobody's done a study on it.
Yeah, and then figure out where they're pulling these different types from, and then see if we implement those types, if we can impact rankings. There's a lot of work to do.
Yeah.
It's cool though. I mean, because it is a very, very plausible explanation for what helpful content is, which is fun. I'm not sure that it explains why websites would have taken a hit for not having this without it being a direct ranking signal.
Yeah. Well, there are two ways it could cause a hit. Is, one way, if this helps you rank, then people with it if you don't have it, would then start to get a benefit above you. So if it helps you rank, it helps people who are doing it and hurts people who aren't. And so if you have overly thin content, that would be a problem. The other way it would be a problem is if your benefits list is non-canonical, meaning lots of pages have the same list of benefits or features that Google is parsing. And so if your benefits exactly match, 200 other pages, it doesn't matter that your words around the benefits are different. You're offering the same informational content, just in different syntax. And so at that point, you might be getting filtered as the non-canonical source of the list of benefits.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's totally plausible, because they wouldn't want to show 10 search results back to back that say the same pros and cons. They would want to show different pros and cons. They'd want to show different benefits. They'd want to show different, side effects. They'd want to show, whatever it might be.
Right.
And so, again, no proof on that, but I'm just theorizing how it could work if it was the culprit. So I'm reshaping the tinfoil, turning the sides upward.
Just throwing it out there and saying, hey, anybody got something to support or negate this?
Yeah. And if you see better examples than what we found and in more interesting areas, we'd like to see them. So another call out to the community, just let me know if you see cool examples. Send me some screenshots.
Yeah, I can tell you guys that if you start to send Ted screenshots of things like this, and there's information that comes from it, that's how things find their way into Quora. And then you have an automated way of pulling this information and utilizing it. So,
oh yeah, I have meetings with developers to figure out how we can measure this. And so it's an interesting one to me. I'll probably spend some time at some point with Correlate Anything and see if I can manually find some smoke. But all right, let's see if there's any questions today. Questions can be on anything. Let's see. My question is on your magic number of 25 links to the product page. Is it okay if these 25 referring domains are always the same for every product on the site? In fact, that's how I did mine. And so my network doesn't exist anymore, but I ran it for 17 years. And we actually got approval from people at Google on our methodology. So what I did was I created PHP micro stores that were like category stores, broken out from the main store. And so if we add a jewelry category among the 500 categories we serve, then I'd have a jewelry micro store. And then from the jewelry micro store, it would all be fueled off of the Merchant Center product feed. So when you have the product buyers maintaining and retiring product off of the main store, all these satellite micro stores would just auto manage. So products would fall out when they're no longer available and new products would show up, because it was all powered off of the Google Merchant Center feed. And then I'd have upselling units. So the main product inventory was usually a small percentage of the overall main store inventory. And that was, at the time, that was largely what Google cared about. The big reasons of the day back then was compliance with the AdWords and Merchant Center policies. And if you were going to have lots of stores, they wanted each store to have at least a 15% different product mix. And as long as you could demonstrate that you had at least 15% different product mix, they were fine with it. You can even buy ads and everything for the satellite stores. So we built out a lot of those. And what we did was, in the upselling units, we would recommend useful products on the main store. And so all of our carousels for upselling. So here are related products that have the same theme. Here's related products that have the same color, And so our upselling units that went to the main store, we treated like advertising units, labeled them as such, and they just promoted product. And all these sites had shared shopping carts, so you could add a product on one site, go to the next site, add a product, and you have it all there in your cart. So there's some custom development in making that happen. But when we do it, we launch a new product, and then 25 satellite sites are instantly linking back to the product with different domains. And we never intended for these micro stores to sell product. The goal was always SEO, referring domains, bulk up the product pages so that we could compete with Amazon products. And it worked wonderfully for that. But we also found that some of these stores actually popped. They would sell a lot of units. And the main reason was we could target things that the main site wasn't going to target. So I would dynamically remap the categories into category keywords that the main store doesn't use. So part of the PHP configuration would be a store logo, store name, queries that filter the product feed into categories and what those category names were. And that's kind of how the config script for each one would pull from the product feed and build a unique store. And we would go into all kinds of keywords, gift ideas for moms, gift ideas for military moms, gift ideas for veterans, just all these keywords that the main store would never target. And then some of them would pop in a big way. And we're like, holy crap, we got to move that into the main store right away. And so it gave us a very large scale testing ground to explore names of things in a way that the business itself wasn't comfortable with doing with the money site. And so it really gave me a playground to explore that and to make discoveries where otherwise the business wouldn't be comfortable even testing. That's what we did.
I just dropped in our Zoom chat some breaking news from Google.
In our Zoom chat.
Yep. The December 2022 helpful content update was released yesterday, starting to become more visible today, and will take about 2 weeks to fully roll out.
Classifiers. Yep.
Looks like classifier and works across content globally in all languages.
Nailed it. All right. Cool. We got confirmation.
Yep, from Ted Scoop-Kabitis.
Well, that's just cool. So it pays to do these field observations because Google doesn't always announce it. This is a rare case where Google announced it. But most of the time throughout history, Google never announces it. So if you don't look at the SERPs and try to figure out what's new or different and how it works, it's going to hurt you over time. So you got to kind of do these things where we kind of just kind of look around and see what's happening. Because a lot of people, they get stuck in their rank tracker, and the world's outside of the rank tracker.
Going to be interesting is to see over the next couple of weeks if we see volatility in the SERPs, or whether the top SERPs just pull out, extract different information like you've shown here today.
Yeah. Let's see. I love the tinfoil thing. Hey, if you're an SEO tester and you're not deep in the tinfoil, you're never going to discover anything. We figured out through just experience and testing that when you do stupid things, the reason you do stupid things is you believe an outcome. And when you challenge your belief, you're putting on the tinfoil hat. You even come in biased, but you got to challenge your belief systems. And when you do that, you figure out new information. We do stupid tests, and we have a thing where kind of the more dumb and ridiculous the test sounds, the more we're interested, because there's this track record of discovering amazing things doing really stupid tests. What happens when you change the target keyword of a page once per second? What does Google do? What happens if you put 1 million unique keywords on a page? How many of them can you index in 48 hours? What happens when you put 250,000 keywords in your title tag? Is there a problem with that? I mean, these are stupid tests. What happens when you tune a page to 95% keyword density? These are stupid tests, and the outcomes blow your mind. Literally. Like, you will understand how parts of Google works testing absolutely ridiculous things.
Mm-hmm.
And it's, I see people, like the other day, I saw these videos on YouTube about keyword density, and I watched them. They're just like 3 or 4 minute videos. And by the end of it, I just wanted to scream and chat at them. Have you tested any of the claims you just made? And the answer is no, they clearly didn't. They just repeated verbatim what they've read in 1 million blogs. But yeah, you got to test. It pays to test. All right. I'll try to use that fact check schema in my content. Have a ton of ideas for using it. Well, be careful. It is the kind of thing that Google could be heavy-handed if you do something malicious with. I know that Google's big issue is that if you mislead searchers, like if you knowingly mislead searchers, they come after you when they find out. So it makes you a big target for narc SEO if what you do is upsetting. But if you have a throwaway website and you want to see how far you can push the limit, and you don't care if the throwaway website gets nuked, by all means, that's a cool test. Question for Carolyn. Carolyn's still here. Do you think the failed Googlebot may be the reason why there wasn't a Google update yet? Any thoughts?
Good question.
Yeah. I'm been thinking of that, sort of as you were showing all of this and thinking about the time overlaps. And last Friday when the volatility was super high compared to what it normally is. Yeah, I mean, it could be. And also, with this continual scroll thing they announced this morning, that they're making the search results look more like the mobile results. That also tilts me.
Yep.
So
It's all mobile.
Yeah. We'll have to see. I don't want to scare people yet on that. I want to see a bit more proof that the world's moving that way before I talk about the implications of the world moving that way.
Yes, yes. So that's why I'm just saying it's intriguing to me. So,
Yeah, we'd also like to see it hold for more than 60 days. That's the other.
Yeah. Ted, what do you think about Google T5? So T5 is an algorithm that's part of MUM, if I remember correctly. I'm quite impressed by T5. I know the people I've spoken with weren't as impressed as I was about it, so maybe take my opinion with a grain of salt. The cool thing that I saw early on was they had a live demo where you could edit the example and play with it. And then they switched to a canned demo that didn't rely on the API calls. And so the canned demo, not useful at all, but the original live demo they had for T5 was quite impressive. You could block out random words in a paragraph, and you could say, hey, T5, the places where I deleted words, fix the paragraph by writing 3 words that fit grammatically and with the content. And so you could uniqueify the paragraph by deleting every 6th word and saying rewrite 3 words in every deleted word's place and make it work. And so it was that capability that really set me off. And because you could create a feed consumer that pulls full articles off of websites, delete every 6th word, replace them with 2 more words. You can oftentimes pull the feeds before Google discovers the page. And if you get indexed faster, you could be the canonical source for other people's content and have it unique. And so T5 is, potentially a content, theft dream tool. And I can't believe Google helped build it. It's like, holy crap. So yeah, T5 is I think it's interesting. And you've seen a lot of the prompts and the GPT-3 stuff and the DaVinci engine, and it's all going that way, where you can say, here's a paragraph of text, rewrite this in a different way, and the engine comes back and says, here's the same paragraph rewritten. And it's usually of the quality that like a high school student would do. So it's not far off that quality basis. And so yeah, it's I think it's potentially damaging for content quality. And so I think there'll be a lot of spam as a result of T5 and GPT-3. And I think it's just the tip of the iceberg too. I've seen an interesting feature that's showing up for review aggregators that shows top picks with the number of reviews. You could probably catch it right now for best ERP for small businesses. All right, let's take a quick look. So those are ads. Yeah, satisfaction. So there's some sort of data pull. So cons, interesting. Misfire of the system. These are numbered headings, so that's numbered headings in play. Yeah, seeing numbered headings a lot. And that's not new, that existed before. This is a table.
Yeah, these pages may be changing up as the update rolls out. So
Yeah, and it can vary by location and browser version. Yeah, I'm not seeing a lot of the NLP ones. And hey, we have Mike Merlino with us. Welcome, Mike.
Yo, what up, Ted? How you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm good, man. I'm good. Thank you for asking.
Rumor mill has it you're starting a YouTube show.
Yeah, I'm supposed to. Yes, this is true. Well, I don't know about a show, but a channel. What's going on, Lee Witcher?
not much, man. I'm just interested to hear about this channel that's allegedly happening.
Is there a URL? Is there a channel name where people can come show you love?
Yes, I believe there is. Let me figure out what that is. I'm so new to YouTube. I think they sent me that email where I have a handle. I'll get that. So Ted, what is it? You have webinars every week or something? It's the first time I noticed this. Or is this on YouTube? What's going on?
Yeah. We're live on YouTube. This is SEO Fight Club, where we talk about different topics in SEO, and we usually give Google a very hard time, but we try to keep it honest and fair.
Okay.
And if you, the viewers out there, don't know Mike Merlino, let me tell you about his Rockstars presentation. I'm not going to spill his secrets. You have to go to Michael to get those. But what he did was he showed a methodology to very quickly expand proximity and go from all red to all green. And it was incredible what he showed. And he showed about 20 or 30 examples in his presentation. And it was like nuclear green, like he obliterated the maps. And we have questions about his methods, but I believe what he did at a minimum has temporary effects. Our questions about his methods is what happens when it stops. But the thing he did in his presentation was he came and he made a claim, and then he laid out all the evidence he has supporting the claim. Then he showed you what he could do with the implications of the claim he made. Then he told you exactly how to do it yourself, and he challenged you to prove him wrong.
Yep.
And everything he did would have gotten respect from Isaac Newton. It was pure science. And
you give me fucking goosebumps, bro. Like I don't know. I just was up there spitting some shit about CTR and the importance of brand. But bro, like, thank you so much, Ted, because the little I know about you, and then from listening to your speech, bro, you had me like this. Like, advantage is not for everyone, bro. Like, so getting any type of kudos from you means like more than you could ever understand for me. Especially for someone that never thought he was a tester or a data guy, right? To hear from the epitome of that world that I am is like, let me fucking embrace this shit. You know what I'm saying? So I thank you and Lee also for pulling
Yeah,
me
you
to the
guys,
top.
you did something that most people don't do. You brought proof, not just a claim. Oh, you could do this, I could do that, just CTR and my super secrets, but you just like, here it is, bam, here's what I'm doing. You go do it and prove me wrong, which I always love. That's always been my, most effective method is say, here it is. Now, prove me wrong. Go use it and show me that it didn't work.
Word.
Yep.
Love
So
that.
you're definitely a person who knows things. And I love your method, and I hope you stick with that exact method. I think that's just going to make you a rock star forever going forward. So yeah, you have that URL. If you don't, you can
I put
come
it in
back
the
on
chat.
anytime.
It's basically it's youtube.com and then at Merlino Marketing.
1 second.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. Can you repeat it?
Sure. It's youtube.com, then the / the @ symbol, then Merlino Marketing, MERLINO Marketing.
All one word.
One word, yeah. There's only one video up there now. Now I'm gonna have pressure. I gotta get it going. Gotta get on.
Yeah, when are we gonna get
All
the other 50, man? By Friday? Is that by Friday?
So what I want everyone to do is go and subscribe. Like, it's really hard to make a YouTube channel work with less than 100 subscribers, and you get the bulk of the features in YouTube once you hit 1,000. So Michael, I want you to come on every week that you have the time to do so, and to promote what's going on your channel, and to remind people. And I want everybody to go subscribe, because if Michael shares his secrets, I guarantee you're probably going to see some crazy shit you're going to want to experiment with. And so, we need to support the content. You don't make a ton of money doing YouTube, so it's a labor of love. And the way that we support content creators is we go and subscribe. It costs you nothing. It's just a way of saying, I support what you're doing. Please do what you're doing. And so I just want you to go and subscribe. It literally costs you nothing.
Thank you, Ted.
All right. And I got to go, because that ringing phone a second ago was the meeting I'm late for. So I want to thank everybody for joining us, and we will see you next week at the same time. And we'll talk to you then. And thank you for joining us, Michael.
Peace out. Absolutely, man. Thank you for so this is every Tuesday at 12. Is that what time it is?
It's
Yeah.
9 a.m. Pacific time. So yeah, probably that time for you.
All right, put it in my calendar. Thank you, guys. Have a great day.
All right, it was great seeing you.
Absolutely.